Yo, what's good, Splice community? I go by Cactus, and in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through how to make a full UK drill beat using samples from my brand new Splice kit. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so we're on the Splice site, and I'm just going to scroll down and you can see it right here in all its glory. So this kit's called the Designer Drums Capsule 2, and I've released it with their X10 label. So as you can see, there's 260 samples in here, and they're all sounding crazy. You can see there's everything you need, including snares, percussion, 808, kicks, hats, effects, song starters, and there's a mix between loops and one-shots. And with the loops, you have things like song starters or melodies, full drum loops without the kicks, percussion loops, even 808 loops. So let me play you some of them. See what I'm saying straight away? These loops are hard. I'm going to show you in the app too, because personally I find the app more convenient. So yeah, going back to the loops. Like this would be perfect to layer under your beat and get more bounce. Let me show you an 808 loop too. This sounds crazy. They all have the key too. And the BPM. Just to refine your search, you can narrow it down by the instrument. All of these drums were made for UK drill, but I guess you could use them for trap beats and other genres. You can check by the key, the BPM, and like I showed you before, just loops or one shots. And then once you've found something that you like, you can download the individual sounds for only 1 credit just by clicking here. Or if you really want to support your boy, you can get the full pack. So I'm just going to click here so I've got all of the sounds. I'm going to start off with a melodic loop so you know exactly how to use the kit, but I'm also going to break down the loop and show you how I made it. So I'm just going to go to types, loops, and then song starters, and I'll play you some. So we have some authentic drill sounds like this, dark UK vibes, and we also have some more orchestral stuff like this. This is one of my favorites too. I want to cook up with this one, and if you want to do the same, you can download it and then you can drag it straight into your DAW like FL. The BPM is 140. I've got my project set to 140 as well. And now I can start adding in my drums. But let me show you how I actually made this loop. And this one was actually kind of simple. So I started with this Japanese home clean preset in Analog Lab. And for the melody, I started off with simple triads. For example, the D minor, which is just D, F, and A. And then I pitched the middle note up. And then for the notes in between, I just used semitones to create some tension. And same here. Then I just used the root note again. I copied that over and added some extra notes just leading down to the F. Because in the second chord, I did the same thing. So I've got a major chord, A sharp major, and then I invert the D. Same again, just use those semitones in the middle for tension. Same up here. I just wanted to create a dark but emotional feeling with this one. The only other thing I did was I took the bass notes and then I gradually brought up the velocity. And you'll hear how that sounds now. And if you look, I've left the notes kind of natural. Nothing's quantized properly. I wanted to keep a realistic feeling. And then for effects, I just added a bit more reverb. Next, I just added this cello in Analog Lab. Just simple notes here. And then it just comes back down. I took the same MIDI and copied it into a different string preset, but just one layer. And together with the piano, it sounds like this. And then originally, I added another layer. So these were more like staccato strings, and then some other plucked strings. And these sound like this. And then one more layer was just some vocals. So when I'm making beats like this, I like to use some kind of choir or soprano vocals. So I use this preset in Omnisphere called Classical Soprano. And this just sounds like this. Then 2 more notes. So altogether, originally the loop sounded like this. But then I just wanted to save some space, so I ended up taking the staccato strings out. I just thought there was a little bit too much going on, especially for a song starter. And then whenever I make melodies, I don't just stop at the melody. I always like to see if I could take it a step further and flip it. So I actually rendered the audio. From here, I clicked into the sample, and then I hit the reverse button. I pitched it down 1 semitone, and then I just played around with some of the chops. So if you look where I've cut the sample, like here, I just started rearranging some of the chops. And then in the end, I got this. I just like that reverse sound. And yeah, that's the exact loop you can get as part of the kit. So let's work around this loop. So I'm going to add a pattern for drums. And then because I've downloaded the kit, it's gone to my Splice folder. So I can click in here. We'll go to one shots. And let's start off with a counter snare. I like the slices one. So I'm going to drag that in. Then we'll just start off with a basic pattern of skipping 2, skipping 2, then skipping 1. And we'll copy that out a few times. Then I'm going to add some filler notes and bring down the velocity. And that's just going to help with the bounce. Then I could even add some rolls like this. So I'll bring this one out, highlight it and press Alt and U. Let's just bring this down, then right click and drag up. And then we'll just make it a bit busier towards the end. There we go. Okay, so we've got the first counter snare down. Next, I like to add one with a different tone. Maybe this chop one. And from here, I'm just going to layer some of them. And this is going to act a bit like a perk. And then I might even bring down the velocity of some of these. So I'm just holding right click and dragging down. Alright, next up, we'll grab a snare. Loads of 6-sounded snares in here. I like the sound of this one, so we'll drag that in. Now a basic drill snare bounce goes like this. The first one goes on the 3rd beat, so if I turn the metronome on. And then from the 2nd bar, it goes on the 4th beat like this. And then you can just repeat that pattern, or you can mix it up a bit. So I just delayed that last one a bit. We'll copy this and then switch it up in the 2nd one. Let's get a little bit more bounce going. Let's grab a percussion loop, or let's grab a counter snare loop. We could work with this one, so I'll drag it in. And I'm going to chop this one up because I only want certain parts of it. Yeah, there we go. All right, now we're going to go to the one shots again, and then we'll go to the percussion. I've added so many different percussion sounds in here. Some really unique stuff. But for these beats, I always like to add some type of stomp sound. I really like this one. So I'm going to drag this in. So I'm going to add one here, and then I'm just going to create a delay without adding a delay plugin. You'll see what I mean. So if I go to the piano roll, I'm just going to right click and drag these down. Same again here, drag these down. And then if I wanted to, I could go to the pan, and then I can just alternate the panning. So it's just going to sound good if you're listening on monitors or headphones. Just alternate it like this. All right, next I'm going to go to the hi-hat folder. Now for drill, I mainly use counter snares instead of hi-hats, but I made these specifically for drill beats. And what I like to do with these is to add them as some filler notes. So for example, if we go to the ice one, just a simple hi-hat, I'm just going to layer some of the lower velocity counter snares like this. Kind of subtle, but I like the way it sounds. Alright, next I'm going to send that melody to an empty insert. With the pack version, I actually kept the low end in, just so you've got more flexibility. But I'm going to take it out for the beat because I need room for the 808. I'm going to take out quite a bit, and I can always bring it back if I need to. Alright, so let's grab an 808, which is most people's favorite part. Some of the 808s are so crazy. For these type of beats, I like to use a New York sounding one like this. So I've dragged it in. I'm going to go to the envelope settings and bring everything down except for the hold. Now I've just got more control over the length. Otherwise, the note will just play out. And then first I like to work out the root notes. I think it's the same again. Let's try some other sounds though, because I really like this mad one. Alright, so I've got the root notes in. I'm going to add some fillers. Something like this. I like the way that sounds. Let's try this. There we go. Alright, next up we'll grab a kick. And then for the kicks, I've pre-clipped some of them so they're sounding hard. But then for others, I left the velocity down so you've got more room to work with. For example, this raise me one, if I bring that in, I can just add a note. And then all I'm going to do here is boost it. And then on my master channel, I've just got the classic clipper, and that's going to create that distortion. Now we can just add the rest of the notes to follow the bass pattern. Alright, so now the beat's almost there. The only other thing I'd add from here is something like a riser, maybe some more effects. Now I'm just going to add this growth speed preset just to switch it up a bit. Okay, we'll grab a riser as well. Then we could add a second riser like this other clean one. And the only other thing I like to do is make a second 8-weight pattern just to keep things interesting. And then normally I wouldn't add so many slides. But like, just because it's a drill beat doesn't necessarily mean it needs slides, but I like the way this sounds. Alright, cool. That's definitely everything I need. So I'm just going to do a quick structure. I'm going to highlight everything, copy it a few times. Now for the intro, I'm just going to get rid of most things. Let's flip this around because this bit's a bit less busy. We'll just fade that in too. Could even repeat that. And then in this section, we could start bringing in some of the drums. So maybe not the bass or the kick, but we could bring in the counter snare, save these. We'll see how this sounds. Yeah, there we go. Just have a bit of a cut here and then they come back in. And then this is going to be the hook. This is going to be the verse. So now I can add that simpler melody. We'll copy that one out a couple times. And then I can cut the drums here. See how this sounds? There we go. And then I just want one more section that's going to be a bridge. So I'll copy this over again. We'll keep the counter snares playing. And then in this section, I think we could add a sub bass. And then yeah, just that last note here. Now what I can do from here is take those same effects that I had before the drop. I'll copy these over and then just cut the counter snares here. For that bridge, just to get it sounding a bit different, is I'm going to add Fruity Love Filter. Alright, so let's add that to the master channel so it affects everything. I've just got a low pass preset with the resonance down and the cut down. I'm going to bring that above the clipper and I'll automate it. It can curve off like this. We could try that in the intro too, so I can just take that, copy this over, see how this sounds. Yeah, hard. So then same again in this section. Before I play it back, I just like to double check the mix. So I'll play a busy part like the hook and then just make sure everything's leveled right. Just bringing up that snare a bit. Counter snare sounding good. Everything else is about right. Only other thing I might do is just pan some of the percussion, and I'll try and do this equally. So I've got one pan to the left, one to the right. And I don't always do it, but sometimes I'll add a little bit of reverb to the snare. I think it'll match the vibe for this one. Just a subtle amount. But yeah, now we've got a full UK drill beat. And if you're liking all of the sounds I've used today, they're all available in my brand new Splice kit. So I've left a link to it in the description. And let's have a listen to the final beat. So yeah, we've got Love Filter on the intro, just to stop the melody getting repetitive.
Cactus.
And we start to build up some energy with some of the drums. That drop sounding crazy. So yeah, now we're in the hook. This is where most of the energy is going to be. Got the second bass pattern. And then coming into the verse. So we're just taking the energy back out again. slowly building it back up. So yeah, I think this one came out mad. I went to the bridge. We just got the same filler. So yeah, if you're liking these sounds, make sure you check out the full kit. The link is in the description. And we appreciate you watching.